Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Check this out. So this snake, I just walked up here and I tried to get it on video for you guys. He was devouring that guy. He doesn't know how lucky he is that I walked up, because that snake just released him when I walked in. Sorry, guy. Didn't mean to take your meal away from you. So we are gonna head back to the cabin and get some work done. Oh, look at how bright that sun is. We are excited to get some work done this weekend. Next weekend I'm on call, so I won't be able to get back up here. But yeah, join us as we go ahead and do our shower house build.
Okay, so for those of you who have not been following the build all along, we're going to give you a little segment here to show you what we've been doing. At home, we went ahead and assembled the rough frame walls. We figured that way we wouldn't have to deal with the bugs of the North Woods. We loaded them up on my trailer and ventured up to the cabin. We brought along the shower stall and all the rest of the building supplies that we would need. We started out by first leveling the flooring of the bathhouse and put some weather-treated lumber on it. We then continued to assemble the walls and put everything into place. Got all the measurements needed that we needed and started to finally put the building together. And then lastly, we went ahead and I cut out the rafters and got the rafters set in place. So this week we could go ahead and do the siding and put the roof on the shower house. And that's where we're at so far. If there's one thing that really intimidates me, it's carpentry work. I know that sounds funny, but I'm a plumber by trade and carpentry just terrifies me. And putting on siding is probably the easiest thing in this whole project, but because I've never done it before, it really intimidated me. So I've been a little bit leery about doing this until I could get a little bit of education under my belt. So before we decided to build our own shower house, we went and we looked at what was out there in the market, and there are a lot of small portable sheds that we could have opted to use instead of building. And the one thing that kind of decided that we wouldn't go that route was these small sheds start at about $8,000, and I thought that's ridiculous. With proper funding, we could build one for a lot cheaper. And speaking of proper funding, before we go any further, I would like to thank multiple people that have donated to the channel through the Super Thanks button. And that is, in no particular order, Todd and Tammy, Keith and Brooke, Troy Payne, Deb from Deb's Way, and Driftless Acres. They've all donated, and it is greatly appreciated that you guys are helping out. So, and we can't forget Able Plumbing Supply, who has donated the shower unit. You guys, thank you so much for your support. None of this would be possible without it. All right, so back to the build. I've decided that to keep things on the cheaper side, we went ahead and put in this LP siding that you see me snapping together. This stuff is very consumer friendly, very easy to use. So if you are a beginner person like I am, you can go ahead and easily assemble this. Little spoiler here, if you see where I'm making openings for the windows and the doors and all that good stuff, because my carpentry skills lack, I was just simply tracing them out. And I'll address that a little bit further on in this video. I'll tell you how I did it and why I did it. But yeah, this project seemed to go along pretty good. The LP siding is very easy to work with. I tried to put in any screws that held it together in areas where it would be covered by decorative trim. If you notice in the scene right here, I'm screwing the screws that I purchased down in a lower area where they would be hidden by that trim. And then also what I did, I put a little bit of forethought in this. I went ahead and got screws that would not rust. The last thing that you want to do is complete this beautiful project and then have rust streaks all over the exterior siding. I put the screws in on the bottom like every 6 inches because I don't want to have to worry about rodents coming in. This LP siding or smart siding does have a protective coating that's sprayed on the outside of it, and for the most part it does a good job of keeping rodents out, but I felt that the extra screws would really be a good insurance policy for keeping those rodents out. And if you notice, as I get to corners of the building, like right here, I was just keeping it close to the corners, and the same in the doorway, like this doorway that I'm working on now. A lot of this stuff can be covered by our finished trim. And then our waterproofing, I'll talk more about that either at the end of this video or in the final video of the series. So yeah, we're excited to get this going. If you haven't seen my prior videos, go ahead and search back in my videos that I have created. And the 2 videos prior to this give really good footage of us framing this out and then the assembly of the shower house right at the job site. If any of you guys are interested in doing a project like this, but you might feel a little intimidated, I want you to think of a famous quote by Colin Powell, and that is, "There are no secrets to success. It is a result of preparation, hard work, and learning from your failure." And trust me, on this project, I had my share of failures. Luckily in YouTube, we can do a lot of editing. So, all right, I'm going to quit talking. Enjoy the rest of the video.
All right, you guys, if you are wondering how in the world I'm getting all my angles down for the top, I'm going to show you how I cheat. If you look at the very top right there, I've got it just temporarily tacked into place. I made sure I had all the lines lined up. Now let's go up top. All right, and here's the view from up top. All that I'm doing to get these angles right, and I'll tell you, I'm a huge cheater because I'm not that great of a carpenter. I'm just simply taking my pencil and I am drawing a line all the way down so that there we go. I'll just do that all the way down, and that's how I'm getting my angles right. And yeah, it's just a little hack trick that I do. Other carpenters, you know, Wiley from Wandering Wiley, he's probably laughing his butt off, or Jay from Jay and Jen. Those guys are all pro carpenters. For me, I'm just an off-grid hack. So all right, let's see how this turns out once we cut on these lines that we just traced out. Okay, and that's your plumber's hack of the day. If you look at this, you know, all these lines pretty much line up, and we got that siding expanded all the way to the top, and all the angles here are perfect. So, you know, it's just kind of a cheater's way of doing it. I'm not a carpenter by trade, but it made it so much easier. And then when I put, you know, my finished trim on here, that's going to suck all, like down there, you can kind of see where the siding's pulling apart. But when we put the finished trim on, that's going to suck everything in together, and it'll make everything look real sweet. And like I'll put a trim piece here where we have these two different transition spots, and then we'll just make sure that we silicone the living heck out of it so that we don't get any rain in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate everything I did with this side on the other side, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Alright guys, so we are to the point where I want to install the window. But obviously, before you install the window, you have to have the trim off. We've got everything fit up and cut the size, and so now I feel comfortable about going ahead and installing the window. And I've got everything out except for just a couple screws. So we'll pop these screws off, and then I'll quick pop this wall off, and we'll go ahead and we'll install the window.
Just like that. See how nice that popped off?
I got one screw somewhere. Oh, I got two screws. All right, and that fits like a glove. I'm gonna go ahead and sink some screws through here. I'll throw the level on it just to make sure that everything's level, and we're good to go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the camera. I'm just gonna quick fill in the rest of the screws around this window, and then before we go ahead and we put the siding on, we're gonna silicone everything out around the window, and we'll put silicone on the back of the siding, reinstall the siding, and we'll call this one done for now. We are gonna go ahead and put some trim around this exterior, but I think that's probably gonna be in another video. But we're running out of time here, so let's go ahead and see what we do here. All right, and just that easy, the window's in, and siding's pretty much on. We've got this side done and the back's done, and
It's the roof.
we got to do the roof yet. This door needs to be done yet, and then in my next video I think I'm gonna do the trim, you know, around the soffit and everything in that video. All right, and now for the finishing touches. As you can see, I put a steel roof up on the bathhouse. I didn't show any footage of me assembling that. Obviously, I'm working by myself today. The wife is out shopping, and I didn't want to take the risk of sliding off this roof. It's really, really slippery, and you know, steel roofs are where it's at when you're in backwoods like this, because you know, during the winter months it's just so much easier on the roofs when the snow can slide right off. And I've had buildings that have had shingles, and those are fine, but those are just a little bit more maintenance. If you have regular asphalt shingles, usually you have to have somebody go up on your roof and shovel it, you know, 3 or 4 times a year. And the whole object of, you know, having this cabin is I don't want to have to do any maintenance. I want to be able to just come up here and enjoy life. And right now it's a ton of work, but once this homestead is all done, you know, I'll be able to live fat and sassy in my older years and not have to worry about maintenance. Okay, so you can see we got a lot done this weekend. We've got the roof put on, and windows in, and most of the siding's on. We just have to finish out like the soffit areas, and I've got to do some trim work around the window. We still have to set the door and do the trim work around the door, and we still have to do the decking in between the let me see if my hand right there in between the cabin and the bathhouse. But at least now we've got it sealed off to where if it starts to rain, or oddly enough, if it starts to snow, we got to start thinking about that. We're all sealed off and we're ready to go. So now a lot of the other work that's left to do, I can do from the interior of it, and I don't have to worry about the elements that are out here. So yeah, I feel pretty good about the work that we got done this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this second part of the bathroom build. We'll see what next week brings us. We might end up, I've got creator's block. I might end up going to Minnesota. I'll take you guys along to view a rustic cabin out there. That kind of reminds me of the Little House on the Prairie cabin. It's really, really cool, and I've been dying to go see it for the last 2 years or so. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. If we don't work here, that's where we'll be. All right, we'll catch you next time on Carl's Off the Grid.